Ladies and gentlemen, most people are waiting for permission to win. Winners don't wait, they decide. There's a difference between having a dream and doing what it takes. Winners build themselves brick by brick through decisions, habits, and relentless focus. Most people spend their lives perfecting the art of the excuse. They blame the market, the timing, their past, their lack of connections, their upbringing, their boss, or even the weather. Winners don't play that game. They understand that excuses are just well-packaged lies we tell ourselves to feel comfortable doing nothing. Winners know that success is not about how good your idea is or how loud your vision sounds in your head. It's about how well and how fast you can execute. Execution is the great separator. Everyone has ideas. Everyone has a goal. Everyone says they want to be successful, but only the ones who act, adjust, and keep showing up are the ones who rise. Execution means you don't wait until you feel ready. You move, you start, you ship the product, send the message, record the video, knock on the door, write the code, close the deal, even when it's not perfect, because winners know that imperfect action will always beat perfect intentions. Excuses slow you down, execution speeds you up. When something goes wrong, winners don't retreat into blame. They look for what they can do about it. They don't say, why is this happening to me? They say, what's the next best move I can make right now? They understand that ownership is the only path to power. You can't change what you don't own. There's one trait that all high performers share. It's their bias toward action. They don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. They don't drown in overthinking. They build momentum by doing. They make calls. They test. They build. They iterate. They take 100 swings, if that's what it takes, to connect once, and then they take 100 more. You want to think like a winner? Start by executing like one. Stop explaining why it's not the right time. Stop defending your limitations. Stop selling yourself on fear. Winners don't have fewer problems. They just refuse to let problems stop their progress. They don't talk about what they're going to do someday. They show you what they're doing today. That's the mindset. That's the difference. Execution over excuses every time. Failure is not the end. For winners, it's the beginning. It's information. It's a signal. It's the universe giving you data you didn't have before. Most people run from failure. They attach their self-worth to outcomes. If something doesn't work, they take it personally. They shrink, retreat, and label themselves as incapable. Winners do the opposite. They zoom in. They ask better questions. They look at failure like a scientist, not a victim. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? What can I do differently next time? The difference between winners and everyone else isn't that they fail less, it's that they recover faster. They treat failure like feedback, not finality. It's not a dead end, it's a detour. It's not a signal to stop, it's a challenge to level up. They don't internalize failure as an identity. Just because something failed doesn't mean they are failures. It means they're in the arena, taking swings, learning in real time while everyone else is sitting in the stand. Every rejection, every loss, every missed opportunity, winners catalog those experiences like gold. They use them to refine their systems, to tweak their strategies, to fuel their hunger. When other people say, I'm done, winners say, good, now I know what not to do. They don't fear failure, they expect it. They know that building anything great requires trial, error, and relentless learning. And they stay emotionally detached from the setback and fully attached to the mission. That's how progress happens. You build, it breaks, you rebuild. You pitch, they say no, you get sharper. You launch, it flops, you improve. This is how winners grow. They don't crumble from a failed attempt. They sharpen their mindset, refine their actions, and come back swinging again and again. That's why they win. Not because they never fail, but because they never let failure have the final word. Most people go through life asking the wrong questions. They ask questions that keep them stuck. They ask, why is this so hard? Why do I always get the short end of the stick? What if it doesn't work? And guess what? The brain listens. It goes out and finds evidence to support those questions. Winners don't do that. They ask questions that pull them forward. They ask questions that create possibilities, not paralysis. They ask, what's the opportunity here? Who can I learn from? What would this look like if it were easy? What's the next move that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? That's how they think, with intention, with strategy, with clarity. Your life is shaped by the quality of the questions you ask. If your questions are reactive and fear-based, your results will be the same. Winners know this. That's why they train themselves to think in terms of leverage. They don't just ask, how can I work harder? They ask, how can I work smarter? How can I build a system that solves this problem permanently? How do I replace myself in this process so I can grow faster? They don't obsess over what's wrong. They focus on what's next. They don't stay stuck in problems. They engineer solutions by changing the lens through which they see the challenge. When a setback hits, they don't ask, why me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? When they hit a ceiling, they don't complain. They ask, what would someone at the next level do in this situation? When their energy drops, they ask, what environment, what people, what habits do I need to shift to operate at peak performance again? That's how winners get out of ruts faster than everyone else. They don't wait for motivation, they use strategy. And the doorway to strategy is smart questions. Look at any successful entrepreneur, athlete, or leader. What separates them isn't just talent or drive. It's mental frameworks. It's how they break problems down. It's how they interpret resistance. It's how they stay calm in chaos. And that starts with the questions they ask themselves in the heat of the moment. Because every time something happens, you have a choice. You can default to panic and excuses, or you can pause and ask a powerful question that shifts your focus and reveals the path forward. Winners do the latter every time. This mindset creates compounding results. Better questions lead to better decisions. Better decisions lead to faster progress. Faster progress builds confidence. Confidence leads to even bolder questions, and the cycle continues. That's why winners accelerate while others plateau. They're not smarter, they're more intentional. They've trained themselves to stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. That one shift changes everything. If you're stuck right now, it's probably not because you lack potential, it's because you're asking weak questions. Why can't I catch a break? Is not a question that builds momentum. What system would make this easier to repeat? Is why do they have more than me? Keeps you jealous and small. What habits are they using that I can adopt? Turns envy into empowerment. The gap is in the questions. That's the code winners live by. So every time you hit resistance, whether it's fear, fatigue, frustration, or failure, don't just push through blindly. Stop, breathe, think, and ask a better question. That's the real work. That's the thinking that wins. Not impulsive, not emotional, not random, but deliberate, curious, strategic. That's how you build a mind that can solve anything. That's how winners think, and that's why they win. Winners don't wait to feel motivated. They know motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline, that's different. Discipline is a muscle, and winners train it daily through small, consistent habits. They don't rely on emotion to guide their actions. They rely on structure. They have routines, non-negotiables, and standards that they hold themselves to whether they feel like it or not. It's not about intensity for one day. It's about consistency over time. You can spot a winner by what they do when no one is watching. It's in the early morning hours when they choose to train. It's in the quiet decisions, the healthy meal, the extra rep, the late night email, the one more call. Discipline isn't flashy, but it's powerful. It's what builds trust with yourself. When you say you're going to do something and then actually follow through, you build internal strength. And you stack wins, and those small wins create unstoppable momentum. Winners build their lives around systems that make success automatic. They design their environment for focus. They plan their days with intention. They remove distractions before they become problems. They don't just hope they'll be productive, they prepare to be productive. That's how discipline works. It's not just willpower, it's engineering Every high performer you admire isn't superhuman. They're just consistent. They've mastered the art of showing up day after day, week after week, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't look like it's working yet. That's the truth about winners. They don't wait to be inspired, they act. And that action, repeated daily, turns into discipline. And that discipline becomes a foundation that nothing can shake. Winners understand that growth is not an accident, it's intentional. They don't rely on guesswork or trial and error alone. They invest in speed, and speed comes from learning, mentorship, and systems. They're not afraid to admit they don't know something. In fact, that humility is one of their greatest advantages. While others pretend to have it all figured out, winners go straight to the source. They find people who have already done what they're trying to do, and they learn from them, not once, constantly. Mentors collapse time. A single insight from someone who's already walked the path can save years of spinning your wheels. Winners seek those insights obsessively. They ask better questions, they study patterns, they listen more than they talk. They know every breakthrough starts with curiosity, not ego. And they don't just consume, they apply. They implement what they learn immediately because they're not looking to be smarter, they're looking to be more effective. Winners also build systems. They don't leave results up to chance. They automate the repetitive. They delegate the distracting. They create processes that free up their time and increase their output. Systems are what allow them to scale. Systems are what protect their focus. While average people burn out trying to do everything themselves, winners design their lives around repeatable, optimized routines that do the heavy lifting. And they never stop learning. Courses, coaching, books, podcasts, they treat knowledge like fuel because they know the person who outlearns the competition will eventually outperform the competition. That's not a theory, it's a fact. Winners treat their brain like their most valuable asset and they feed it daily. That mindset, the hunger to grow, the courage to ask, and the discipline to systemize is what keeps them moving ahead while others stay stuck. Winners don't wait for rescue. They don't expect a perfect moment, a lucky break, or someone else to hand them the life they want. They know, deep down, that no one is coming. Not the government, not a boss, not a friend, not a miracle. It's on them. That mindset changes everything. It creates urgency. It creates ownership. It forces them to stop waiting and start building. While others waste time hoping someone will open a door for them, winners are busy kicking the door down or building their own. This belief is uncomfortable for most people. It requires radical responsibility. It demands that you stop blaming and start doing. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to say, I didn't have support, or I wasn't taught this, or they had more than I did. But winners don't buy into that narrative. Even if it's true, they don't stay there.